Hello, 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 and good evening, everybody. I am your androgynous AI game show host from the future, Caster. Good evening. Good evening. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all having a good week. Thank you for joining us once again on this Thursday, although a little earlier than normal. Do not worry, we will be having our regularly scheduled programming of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the epilogue, in fact, going on later today on this stream. But I wanted to take some time in advance of our session to tell you a little thing about a little thing called the High Voltage Tabletop Bundle. A thing which I've been raving about all month and will continue to rave about because it has a bunch of fabulous games for you to try and experience, available for a discounted price throughout all of January. To go and put the link in the little doobly-doo, and also to make sure that if people can let me know. Yes, I just realized that I do actually have music layering a goodbye. Okay, that should fix that. Apologies about that. You would have gotten a little bit of layered music there, but it should be sorted now. Do let me know if the audio levels are acceptable. But yes, the High Voltage Tabletop Bundle is a group of 20 games from 20 creators for $20. All of them exploring themes of high action, high passion, high speed, designed for very energy-filled and vibrant play. Hey, Rafi! Hello, hello, hello. And also speed of setting up and running games. So it has the full gamut. To go and give the box text for you, because I think that's probably the easiest way to describe it. Sometimes it's all about the action. The High Voltage Tabletop Bundle is a collection of tabletop games designed to play fast and loud, whether that's because they set up and play quickly, compact with more action than a shounen anime battle, or feel vibrant, energetic character moments in both success and tragedy. Laser gunfights, burning rubber, music so loud that it wakes the neighbours. Looking for something simple to learn to teach a group of folks new to the tabletop scene? We've got you. Hankering for something fun and fast to run for your long-time players in between campaign arcs? You'll find it here. And looking to capture the neon nostalgia of retro pulp and turn of the century anime? Oh boy, do we have that. Live fast, polyhedral, die hard. So yeah. What we're going to be doing is that we're going to be having a look through all of the games in the list, having a bit of a chat about them and why they're in this bundle. Talking about game design as a thing as well, because not only is one of my games in this bundle, friend of the show, Rafi the House / Will You, also has a game in the bundle. Hopefully they'll be joining me on air to have a chat about that. But first things first, let's go on with the first game, and I'll be switching up the vibes as we go as well. We probably want something a bit more upbeat than this for such a high energy bundle. Let's see what we got here that we can go with. Let's go with some Space Channel 5. If we're allowed to have that. Perfect. So yes, let's have a look at Astrobellum. Astrobellum by John Hocker is a bit of an outlier in the range of the tabletop games we have here, because it is a tabletop war game. It's a miniature war game rather than a tabletop RPG, which I was very delighted to include. He describes it as a psychedelic sci-fi game, where it is about those kind of pulp space explorers. Think Buck Rogers of the 55th century. You're lost in spaces. You're Space Channel 5s and Jetsons. Kind of sci-fi energy in gunfights with giant alien bugs. It is. Having had a read through of this earlier, the different factions that have been set, the global parliament of Earth, the gene punks of Saturn, the bugs of Venus, and the cult of Neptune, are definitely very evocative of the kind of characters we'll have at play here. Which is neat to look at, because I guess for the most part, when it comes to the games that I design, I'm quite light on lore. So that this game actually has a pretty dedicated collection of backgrounds for the various archetypes is actually pretty neat. In particular, it was the gene punks are really heavily adapted, since the entry here is clearly written by the authoritarian Earth state, the global parliament of Earth. The gene punks therefore got hold of their entry, their bioscan, their data profile, and have live edited it, which is a layout trick I really enjoy. I don't know if any of y'all have had a look at the one of the things that the Shadowrun tabletop RPG books were known for, especially Shadowrun 5th edition, was the amount of commentary by other people in the setting. And those were kind of like message board or IM chats between these various hackers who are commenting on the information in the document. And this is a fun way, this kind of live annotation on top of it, where it's supposed to be read but not really read, is I think pretty delightful. Good shit right here. Intended to portray the gene punks as reckless vandals who cannot be governed. But the truth is that we do not need to be governed. Do you know what by far the most common genetic modification is among our people? Joint and spinal reinforcements, so we can do a hard day's work and still spend the night dancing. Want to know what the second most common mod is? Fertility control, so we can have exactly as many children as we want and then focus on collectively raising them to love themselves and their community. We don't care what anyone on Earth thinks of us, and none of us have a point to prove, only a life to live. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. No, this I definitely enjoy the tone of this book, even though even with the dense amount of lore, it is a fun and poppy lore. The Bugs of Venus. John actually released like a promo video that kind of looked like a propaganda film for Astrobellum, talking about the Bugs of Venus, and they're kind of like a vibrantly colored like hive mind group of insects. Super interesting. I need to see if I can bring up some of the photography of the miniatures that he's designed for this game, actually. Give me a moment. I'll see if I can summon those for you. Let's go and pull these from the ether. Give me a moment. Also, I apologize in advance. I'm going to try and keep the audio of it to a minimum, but I decided that I wanted to treat myself for a change and order out. And the food arrived very, very late. In fact, it arrived about 2 minutes before we went live. Went on air, rather. It was while I was on the holding screen, so I apologize if I'm munching very lightly throughout this experience. I'll try to not turn it into a mukbang stream. Where is... Oh, yeah, here we go. Yeah. So, John Hawker, you cannot see me anymore, I vanished, goodbye, is a miniature sculptor in addition to this is the first game that they've designed, but they've been sculpting minis for a while. So they've been working on some of the designs for the different factions of Astrobellum for quite a while, although this game is miniature agnostic. If you do have your own tabletop miniatures at home, you can still play this game. You can use whatever vibes, whatever makes sense. But if you're into that ray gun fantasy, then there will be STL. I do believe there are STLs, so you can 3D print these designs already available. Anywho, one of the other things I really dug about this game and wanted to highlight. Oh yes, it does mention that the STLs for Astrobellum are free. So if you have a 3D printer, you don't actually even need to buy the miniatures. You can just get going. But yeah, one of the things I found very interesting about this game is that a lot of miniature war games have the specific movement and attack phases and handle those in different ways. If you've ever played a video game, a tactics video game, whether that is XCOM or like even like Final Fantasy Tactics, there are those kind of like movement actions and attack actions that all war games generally have. But one of the ways that this game kind of like varies it up is that in the kind of attack phases and movement phases, you can give specific commands for those particular phases. So you can have a regular assault attack action, but there's also these assault commands, and I do enjoy how evocative the different terms for these commands are. A knife in her hand, fire in our eyes, for hope and for valor, like the movement commands of chase the wind, dance the skies, untrespass sanctity. It's almost very anime, which is I enjoy. I don't think that was his intention as a designer, but I love the idea of at the table yelling chase the wind to use that specific move command. That I think is generally a big whistle-stop tour of some of the interesting beats within Astrobellum. Moving on, it's actually a very complete book. The fact that it has all of the lore before even we get into any of the rules, and then once you get to the rules are relatively straightforward. There's a big chunk of content in here for you to kind of work through. Moving on to Viditya Villetti's game Bloodbeam Badlands. Which clearly I should switch the music up for again. I don't know if we'll do a different jam for each of these, but we can give it. Let's go with this. So, Viditya was one of the first people to really shout out this bundle when I was in the process of approaching people for it. This is the first itch.io co-op bundle I have organized. So I was there was something of a learning curve of trying to get everything to come together. And getting the word out that this was something that I was organizing. And Villetti did a fabulous job of letting other folks know that this was something around for people to take part in. But I had to kind of remind them, oh, you don't want to miss the window of getting the game in yourself. And what a game for Villetti to submit. You are a badass vampire cowboy, no less. With a cool gun, even cooler bullets to fire out of that gun, and a die-hard attitude. I do particularly enjoy. I mean, any tabletop RPG is going to really give what vibe it's about in its opening statements, one of the best ways to kind of get the vibe of a tabletop RPG is to look at the stats that it has. You know, if a tabletop RPG is coming at you with strength, constitution, dexterity, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, then you know what it's inspired by and what it's aiming for. But there's a whole bunch of games where they have very unusual, passionate stats going on here. We have guts, guile, and guise. Love a good alliteration among the stats. Guts being brawn and courage, guile being wit and cunning, and guise being charms and deception, which all makes sense within the realms of a cowboy-style narrative. I once improvised a game design with a friend of the show, Purple / David Winterbottom, and we did a Time Cowboys game where we decided that the 3 stats should be rootin', tootin', and shootin'. So yes, definitely that kind of energy. But also, on top of the stats, this is, I think, very, very, very interesting and important. The size of this is a little small. Let me make this a bit larger so you're in a position to be able to see. There we go. Are the sources. This is essentially different forms of health, not a single HP stat, but in fact 3 separate vectors on which you are taking damage on: blood, bullets, and burn. Also an alliteration, but I do like that the way to kind of represent that you are vampires and therefore hard to kill is the fact that you can be beaten the absolute fuck out of. You can take plenty of damage to your blood, but as long as you still have your resources and your fighting desire to just keep moving in a hostile world, you keep pushing, I think is really cool. I think that's such a good way of using the mechanics to kind of inform the tone of the game. And then on top of that, zooming out a bit to kind of scroll through this a little bit faster, the... yes. As the game proceeds, you just continue to take damage to your burn. Your will is being continually tested by the process of just being out in these streets, and that kind of ticking down. But if you do happen to die or are on the brink of death, you can come back to life again, reducing your burn. So you can mutate is the mechanic that they've decided for that. The process of kind of like, hey, I'm not going to die yet. I will transform into something worse with a capital W in order to kind of survive and keep going. There was the list of different types of bullets. Oh, and the different types of powers you could get as well were also very, very interesting to highlight, because especially because they come with their own dedicated graphic. Whether you have a monstrous form, whether you can blend into shadows, appear and disappear into shadows, whether you have psychic powers, which, ooh, yes, being able to link to other people and kind of give demands. Very Alucard in Symphony of the Night. I always go to think of when I think of vampiric abilities, the ability to turn into a bat, turn into a wolf, and turn into fog, which is not necessarily the part of the wider vampire canon, I suppose, established vampire canon, what vampires are allowed to do. But I always find it very cool when it's like, oh yeah, they just turn into a fog to avoid attacks, is something I've always thought was very neat. But yeah, the types of your gun is a very important part of your character build in Bloodbeam Borderlands, Bloodbeam Badlands rather. Just in the type of the naming, the Blood Moon ammo has werewolf blood in the tip, a powerful serum of primal forces. To hit a target by blood ammo stirs into a frenzy, unable to differentiate from friend or foe. You can inflict berserk on your enemies by hitting them with this specific type of ammo. That kind of energy is great. I always think that games that get you to go, fuck yeah, as part of what you can do are always something to be treasured. And I think the specific abilities that are available in Bloodbeam are definitely designed for that fuck yeah quotient. Speaking of another game with a solid amount of fuck yeah quotient, if you're a fan of the kind of genre this is going to be discussing, is Blazing Hymn. We will damn this world together. All about that kind of lyrical Nanoha and oh no, the kind of the mech animes where Symphogear, thank you, summoning from the depths. Mech anime where performing the songs of battle while in your mech drives the fighting forces to push back against the alien menaces is a whole genre unto itself, and Blazing Hymn digs deep into that vibe. I sing of us with every bullet, because the thought of you is the reason I could never let myself fall. Absolutely leaning into that energy. Similarly, actually, we were talking previously about stats that are evocative, that immediately evoke the nature of a game. In Blazing Hymn, your three main stats are volume, tempo, and harmony, which I think is also a very firm way of setting what this game is about. I need to switch up the music again. Give me a second. Let's go with something like this. Wiggling the volume. Marvelous. Yeah. No, the the thing I definitely appreciate from this game is its commitment to its aesthetic. It's not even in terms of like typeface and graphical layout, even though it's not very complicated. Its word choice, the fact that these are hymnal classes for your mechs are so firm in the vibe. This is definitely something that would have an OVA that would go with it. This is a type of mech show that Kotobukiya would make a plastic model kit for you to buy and build. So we have the different types of classes of robot that we have here, with the Tsurugi type with long swords, with the Hyojan type with Chinese rockets, I guess like fireworks. We have the Qatar type, who is much more stalwart and long range. Oh yes, there's long-range rockets and close-range punching. We have the Mesa type with shorter blades. I guess these are not like the long swords of the first type of unit. The Zyston type, American Weapons Lab, for pure damage. With the kind of like Greco-Roman aesthetics. The Pavis type, lightweight and mobile, with a kind of like support and shields, and then the songs of the different abilities that you get, but also highlight narrative things that happen. The drama that's happening between the mech pilots is also a part of using these particular moves, which I think is particularly excellent. You know, the mech anime is not just about the robots, it is the feelings of the peoples in those robots and how those feelings are clashing against each other. I feel this is something that I ran up against in games like Lancer, which have very elaborate discussions of the robots, but comparatively very little discussion of the pilots within them and the relationships they have with other people. and whether their drives would affect their mech piloting ability. So the fact that this game takes the time to intertwine those narrative beats with the specific mechanics when you're using the robots, I think is absolutely fabulous. Moving on to a lighter one in the listing, we have Beaks and Blunderbusses. This was very interesting. Finding another jam as well. Let's get something quite light here. This is a bird pirate tabletop RPG, which there should be at least one person in the chat that I have a feeling is probably going ooh about it. Yeah. The neurons are activated. Beaks and Blunderbusses is like a Saturday morning cartoon about animal pirates. Whether this is a group of normal birds roosting on a human pirate ship, a group of anthropomorphized bird pirates who own the ship, or something else entirely is up to you, but you are indeed birds. In fact, the first step of the game after you've got your friends together is deciding whether you are a seabird, an island bird, or a wild card bird. Which is I love the term wild card bird. To be honest with you, okay. So Rafi, since you're in the chat at the moment, are you a seabird, an island bird, or a wild card bird? I am dying to know. But as a game, this is one that actually plays very straightforwardly. Baby, you know I'm a wild card. Yeah, absolutely. The way that this game works is that you all have a pool of health that you start with, and then whenever there's something, an outcome that is uncertain to you, you just flip a coin. The game recommends you lean all the way in and get a full theater prop gold doubloon to flip if you can obtain one. But it's entirely flipping a coin and calling heads or tails. If you call it right, you do it. If you don't call it right, not only do you lose health, but there is a powder keg count where things are going to absolutely go fully haywire once that reaches its maximum. But if your character runs out of health, it's fine. It's just another tick on the powder keg and you're back in the action again. This is the kind of like a slapstick style Saturday morning cartoon comedy where there could be peril and action going on, but nobody dies. Nobody is in danger of dying. The broad range of I quite like the list of little personality cues that we have: flirty, brave, and dumb on the list. I can tell that this is oh my gosh, I need to have a chat with James Tomato and see, maybe it would be fun to do the griffins aboard the Uhuru. For those who do not know, Campaign Skyjacks is an actual play podcast in which I am a player and character within, and it is a setting where everybody is a sky pirate, and the birds in that setting have the probability of becoming griffins, who are like 8.5 times the size of their respective original sizes, and people ride around on them like steeds. And so the pirate ship Uhuru has a set of birds as part of its stock. Yeah. One shot of this with the Uhuru Griffins, I think would be really cute. I need to have a word. I need to have a word with James about that. I think that would be very funny to do. I think he'd also be down about it. We've not had any shenanigans with the birds on the podcast for a while. But it's a very simple and cute game. This is a micro RPG, so it wraps itself up in just four pages. The download of this has a character sheet that you can fill in as well. So that way you can also have a kind of setup is even easier in that kind of fashion. There is something nice about a good character sheet that is very useful in terms of onboarding for a game. Sometimes less necessary in games that are light like this. But sometimes you read through some rules of a game and go like, I think I get it, but I kind of need this information laid out in front of me in a way that's compartmentalized that makes it easier to understand, and then I can get how all these pieces plugged together. You get what I mean? But yeah. Beaks and blunderbusses, very, very cute. I do love that we have such a broad range of types of game in this bundle. Because some of them, like Astrobellum, are very elaborate and have a full set of lore and could be printed as a physical book, potentially. But then there's also very fun and flirty light games like this that also still play really fast, play really exciting, and are really charming, but are simple to get into. Okay, moving on to the next. We have UC. I do believe I've pronounced that right. I'm going to go and double check that I've pronounced that right while we also go and switch up the vibes. You play as space demigods in this, which I think is very cool. Let's see, what kind of jam can we have for being a space demigod? Let's go with this. While I go and double check the pronunciation of the game, because I want to make sure that all our games are represented with love and care. And there was a pronunciation note to make sure that I got this right, which I appreciate. Give me a moment. AOC. There we go. AOC. So yes, AOC Reborn of the Sun is also another game that goes pretty straightforward and quite quickly. It is, I would say, it uses an existing system of the 3d6d system, which is you roll 2d6 under normal circumstances, and then under special circumstances you're rolling an additional d6, which, depending on the type of roll, you can use to not only add to your roll but also multiply your roll. In AOC, you are using that third d6 is your solar powers. You have been blessed with these additional. You are an immortal ? Servant of the sun, granted with these great solar powers. And whenever you use your solar powers, you roll that additional die and are able of creating grand feats beyond that of mortal men. If you have, Exalted. Yes, that's the name of it. I was struggling for a second. If you've ever heard of the tabletop RPG Exalted, where you also play as like deific people, and the entire point of it is that when you are a demigod or godlike being, the problems that you run into are entirely different from the idea of just being in regular, mortal peril. And exploring that in a way is really cool. But yeah, I really like the idea that there is instances of using the solar die. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it better. Using the solar die to multiply your roll, meaning that you can go and hit some goofy numbers. You only ever really need to get over 11 to do something. But the idea that you can go above and beyond and have that kind of maybe reflect narratively as well, where you're kind of going just so hard in the paint with your solar powers, I think is a lot of fun. There was also highlighting the different abilities, the different solar powers that you get. Yes, here we go. It's designed, because this is a shorter RPG and quite lightweight. There are a number of roll tables that are very evocative of the theming, to give you you up and running. And it's quite funny, or I think it's quite cool, that despite the very mythological nature of the game, the kind of aesthetics it goes for, it's still a sci-fi. So your look can be a faux leather jacket with a rad description of the Aeus printed on the back, which I think is very cool. You know, you don't think of a biker jacket as something that you would encounter in this kind of setting, in the same kind of breath as acolytes. But that I think is a very cool fusion of genre. But also there's the kind of sun powers that you get. Yes. Sunburn and solar healing, everybody gets by default, so you can hurt and you can heal, but you can also have a specialty power that will sit within the theming. You got to sit within the theming. Sunstroke, photosynthesis, solar charge, photon step. You just move at the speed of light anywhere through barriers, because, you know, photons can do that. I think that's very cool. So yeah, definitely kind of playing up the energy, the solar energy of being demigods, and kind of really committing to it throughout. The kind of description of your power sets, I think, is a very cool thing. Speaking of committing to the bit aesthetically, Firmament is an astoundingly pretty rulebook. We're definitely going to be looking through this, and you can see some of the stunning character art in it while we go and select another jam. Give me a moment. Let's get... Okay. Firmament. Now this is not the only game in the list that uses the Lumen system. The Lumen system, for those who are unfamiliar, is it's in the same way that Powered by the Apocalypse are a bunch of different games that use the same core ideal in terms of dice mathematics of using 2d6 plus or minus numbers to resolve things. Lumen uses its own way of dice resolution. It is rolling a number of six-sided dice equal to a particular stat. Maybe you're rolling more or fewer dice depending on the instances. And if you get 1 to 2, it's a failure. If you check your highest number, I believe. If it's 1 to 2, it's a failure. If it's 4 to 5, it's a mixed success. If it's a 5 to 6, it's a full success. Yes, here we go. Success with a consequence and total success. Which is so simple to understand. It is a much more forgiving dice math than, say, Blades in the Dark, which also uses, a similar system of rolling six-sided dice equal to a stat and then picking the highest. But in that instance, 1 to 3 is a failure, 4 and 5 is a mixed success, and only 6 is a full success. So this has a much higher has an improved chance of success and reduced chance of failure, meaning that you're more likely to succeed often. And that is also tied into the kind of games that Lumen systems are. A lot of Lumen-based games are inspired by video games with loot tables, and being able to have quick combats that regularly recharge your abilities to use again and again as you fight. So the more that you fight, the more that you charge your abilities. And the more that you fight, the more types of items that you can find that you can then replace some of your kit for these new items with the new abilities. Sticking to the previously highlighted notion of tabletop RPGs having very evocative stats for your abilities, we have glare, flash, and glow. Also, I suppose discussion of light in an interesting parity with AUC. But yes, there is, in addition to the kind of just general discussion of stuff like combat, it's designed to be quite quick and not really working in terms of maps, but instead with distances. This is also pretty standard across a lot of Lumen games. We have, I do believe there is the character profiles. Yes. The character art in this game is absolutely great. So as part of your character creation, you choose your discipline, which is your style of combat, and the different disciplines are kind of like highlighted here. So we have the Noon. Makes sense that this Noon is a cowboy. It's Ha Noon, as the as the Overwatch meme goes. We have the Midnight. Hell yeah! I need to zoom in a little bit so we can get a better look at the art. It's so good. The artwork in this game is great. Hey, Valthek! Thank you very much for the sub. There was not. I don't have an alert thing here apparently. Let me go and fix that for you. How are you doing, Valthek? I hope you're doing well. We're just gonna go and make sure that is available and visible. Let's run that back. I mean, I can understand why you would be seething with incandescent rage. I can't replay the alert. That's rude. Okay, well, thank you very much for continuing to subscribe to the channel. I hope you're doing very well. But yes, we're continuing to move through, looking at the different classes or different disciplines, fighting disciplines in Firmament. Zoom out again. We have the Dawn, a kind of paladin style. The Dusk. The Eclipse. I mean, love to be a spellcasting robot weirdo. That is fully my energy through and through. My 1 hour commute was 3 hours today, half an hour of which was standing outside a heated train, waiting for a different train and not being allowed to go inside in sub-zero temperatures. Oh no, I'm so sorry. The really cold weather has been hitting us everywhere at the moment, huh? I hope you're back inside and warm and safe now, though, and you didn't have to kind of be standing. Well, half an hour of having to be in sub-zero is already pretty miserable, but I hope you've warmed back up sufficiently. And the Astra. Love, I mean, I have again, character design soft spots. Love the kind of like giant wizard hat with like the lining, the cosmic lining on the inside. And like capes with the galaxy print on the inside. Yeah, into that shit. But yeah, it's you know, each fighting style has pretty elaborate ways that it can stand out from the other classes. So even though it is a very rules light system, or at least the dice math is easy to understand and use and play quite quickly, that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is playing the game in the exact same way. By choosing these different styles, you have a lot of variance in how you can approach things. Speaking of range of different styles, and maybe a game a lot of folks might be aware of. We have Greg Leatherman's Glitter Hearts. The Glitter Hearts was actually a game that I had kickstarted a while back. Greg has been on a chain of successes of releasing tabletop RPGs that are very evocative of different styles of pop culture. He recently had a successful Kickstarter for the Mystery Business, which is designed to tell cartoon mystery stories like your Scooby-Doo's and your Captain Cavemans. But Glitter Hearts, it was his first major tabletop RPG release, where you are playing as magical heroes. Whether that is the kind of like a magical girl style, your Cardcaptor Sakura, your Sailor Moons, but there is also, in fact, alternate rule sets for playing as Power Rangers as well, which I think is very, very cool. We were previously talking about how Lumen and also Powered by the Apocalypse PBTA games, and Glitter Hearts is one of those PBTA games. But it does a very interesting thing in that the way that you build a character in a lot of Powered by the Apocalypse games, there is a discrete set of static playbooks that usually hit the main genre tropes of the kind of characters that would be in that kind of world or narrative. Powered by the Apocalypse games in general are largely concerned with I need to switch the vibes again. Apologies. Let's get something.
Someone say switching the vibes.
Ah, vibes have entered the chat. Hello.
Greetings. What up?
How you doing?
Poppin' gamers. I'm doing okay. I've got a bit of nervous excitement for our Pokemon finale later, and I am excited to go hop into some looking at some of these neat ass games.
Yeah. I was talking a little bit about Glitter Hearts. I don't know if this is a game that you've come across.
It's a game that I have seen in so many places, but I have not cracked it open to give it a good look over yet.
Yeah, the interesting thing about it, compared to the standard fare by Powered by the Apocalypse games, is that instead of having discrete playbooks that hit those individual genres, you instead asks almost like a multiple choice style questions of you. Let me scroll to those specific. Yeah, so you have your everyday identities, you have your element, and then your role within the team, and each of those that you pick comes with like abilities that you can select. So say for example, if you choose to be the athlete versus the bodybuilder, they not only affect your stats, but also give you specific abilities that you can choose to have.
Sure.
By going through the 3 separate questions, you actually get a fully different character from all other people who are playing with you, which I think is really nice. And the range of identities is actually huge because there's several for each type. So there's, I think, a good 12, 15, just regular kind of like who you are as an ordinary person style things to pick from. And then there's another set of magical archetypes. Are you the person who's like an idol? Are you a spellcaster? Are you the kind of stalwart guardian style character, so on and so forth? And then what is your kind of like specific element style? So it's really, really easy to play this game a lot and build a new character every time. Where
Interesting. So
go ahead.
You're kind of basically taking 3 mini playbooks and mixing them together. That is something that I have really been wanting to do with games that I've been making. So I clearly gotta give this a read because it looks like it's got fun ways to do it, especially the fact that it's kind of like 3 distinct categories. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, I really like Masks as a Powered by the Apocalypse game, but after you've played and watched it played a lot, at some point you have seen every playbook. And then there are lots of different ways of doing those playbooks, but you're like, oh, I already know the mechanics of how this works. And the classes and that particular archetype is not as extensive as, say, you can play a rogue in D&D lots of different ways, so you're not necessarily going to see the same rogue twice. You're probably going to see the same reformed character in Masks twice. But yeah. I really do dig the kind of character build style of Glitter Hearts. And then there's the other thing I wanted to highlight about this was the teamwork mechanics are really cool, because you get to decide whether you have competitive or cooperative relationships with other members of your team. And then when you do teamwork roles, depending on your relationship, the effect is different. Nice. Which I think is really fun.
I'm gonna have to, wow, I clearly gotta read this book. This sounds like it's got a lot of stuff that I could, rub my chin over.
No, it definitely hits a lot of interesting space. Love a game that looks like an existing dice system that everybody's using, and then takes some big strides to do some new shit.
For real.
Moving on. It's my game. Oh, it is here. Let me. What does that even sound like? It sounds like this.
Speaking of, gotta say, happy birthday to your operator.
Thank you.
33 is a big year. They're 1/3 of the way to a century.
Yeah, it's reaching level 99, indeed.
Yeah, you cap out at that. I know, for a... Well, okay, I'll save the, birthday chit-chat for the Pokemon stream, where we're a bit more, able to shoot the poop.
Sure. No worries,
we got a cool-ass game in front of us, and it would be a shame to leave it sitting there.
I mean, I think Heartbeats in Perfect Sync is my favorite game that I've made. I've made a few at this point, but it's still... I've taken to... describing this differently now. You've made a game? Tell us more. Chat knows what I'm about. I've taken to describing Heartbeats in Perfect Sync as a love letter to every video game and anime where a twink with 2 swords can run up the side of a skyscraper and slap the physical embodiment of depression in the face. Which sounds like a very specific description, but I'm sure you can think of at least one video game or anime where that is a thing that you can do.
And, if half of those games are produced by Square Enix.
I genuinely, I think I've told other people this story before. This idea was sort of knocking around in my head in a very passive way. And then I came across a YouTube video essay talking about how the storyline of Kingdom Hearts isn't that complicated. Actually, it's just long-winded. And then I fell into a fugue state. And then when I came to, this game existed.
Oh, the power of YouTube video essays. God bless.
But yeah, no, this is a game. The big selling factor of this game is the heart rate system. In this game, your HP is also your dice pool. You have a heart rate that starts from 1 to 10, and that ranges from 1 to 10 and starts at 5. And whenever you need to make a roll for anything, you roll your heart rate. And depending on the outcome of it, you or the GM can decide whether your heart rate goes up or down, which narratively suggests you become more or less passionate in the circumstances at hand, but also means you're rolling more or fewer die. As a result, there's a side effect if you go above 1, if you go above 10 or below 1, I know how maths works. You have a dark transformation. You become heartbroken, where you gain not only a new power to use, you also get to immediately describe your transformation sequence, evil Sailor Moon style, and have the potential of actually dying, which I think is very funny. The whole
Minute of your soul.
You know, I love that trope of like, they're using that technique. It's so strong, but it damages them every time they do it. It is. I have a soft spot for bullshit like that. So no, this game is all about that kind of energy.
Also, I gotta say, I love the like sidebar art here. You know, that little what is it? The like heartbeat monitor wiggle down there, and the character. I think that's so nice. And for a game that is not very long, there's a lot of nice art in here.
I mean, yeah, I would do it a little cleaner now, but I think I popped off with some of the designs, some of the character designs on this. I love where's the guy with the shadow boxing guy? Yeah, this fucker. But yeah, I tend to, if anybody's what kind of games have you really this game? Play this game. This game's good. I'm actually at the moment working on an expansion, Heartbeats in Perfect Sync Pulse Pounding Edition. Because I mean, it's just puns from beginning to end. It's mostly it's just kind of adding that additional content to make it more robust once you're kind of used to the basic rules. It's stuff like a D66 table of once per session powers that you can use, a teamwork mechanics and relationship mechanics, which I've called heartstrings, and then ways of being able to collaboratively build the town that you're in together. Old heads to the Neoncaster Twitch channel who tuned in for Arcana Core maybe watched our session 0, where I had kind of determined what the 5 districts of the town were, but not necessarily the people and places that were in those districts, and then we built them together as a group. And I felt that was really effective for both lowering the amount of pressure that the GM has to do in terms of building the world, but also kind of increases player investment, because they get to kind of see their decisions rendered in the world, you know, in that kind of way. So yeah, please keep your eye out for Heartbeats in Perfect Sync Pulse Pounding Edition at some point, hopefully this year, hopefully at least the digital edition this year. One wonders if a physical edition would ever manifest, if I can make it like robust enough to do that. But yeah, this is definitely one of the big releases I want to do this year.
Hey, I believe zines are having a moment, and this would be a banger zine.
Moving on to even more pulse pounding. We have Hell Grinders, all caps, by the way, stylized in all caps. By Bannerless Games. Bannerless Games are currently most known for the solo RPG like radio DJ game called Void 1860 AM, where which has been on my list for a long time. I've been meaning to play that on stream, to be honest. It's one of those games that feels like it would be a good fit for both me and the channel. You feel me?
Valthek makes a good point. This is not actually Hell Grinders. This is Hell Grinder.
Hell Grinder. Yes. I don't even know if I have anything that's aggressive enough for Hell. Oh no, we have Midnight Stabbings with the Lads from Umurangi Generation. We can run that.
What a song name. Hell yeah.
But yeah, Hell Grinders is it's a boomer shooter RPG which uses Lumen again. We've talked a little bit about how this kind of a dice system operates, so we won't go into that, but it's interesting to go and see the same dice system used in a different way, where before it was more in a kind of like the Bungie game that is like a looter shooter and isn't Halo.
Oh, Destiny.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I know games with guns in them.
When you first said the Bungie game, I don't know why I expect you to say Marathon. Oh my god.
But this definitely leans in much more on the kind of like gothic horror style. Lumen's the Warframe game, right? Oh, yes. Yes, I think that was its origin, right? Where somebody wanted to do a Warframe like tabletop RPG and then released it, kind of highlighting that it's inspired by Warframe. And then Warframe, the production company, were like, we hate this. We hate that you've...
I don't even think it was the production company. I think it was the community of the video games who were like plagiarists, not realizing like this is like a tribute game, guys. Come on. Like, yes, it is intentionally evoking Warframe. It's silly stuff.
Oh, right. The production company loved it. The fans got real mad. Wild. But it's cool to see that people have gone and taken that conceit and then kind of expanded out to the wider range of video games that hit that kind of energy. This is very Morkborg, hell, like a death metal style energy. I love the ballpoint pen annotations on the pages. Like this has been printed out and scanned back in with the annotations. That's great.
I was just thinking on like at a page or two back, the little like skull drawn in next to like fucking died or whatever. It was like that skull is so cute. I love this.
It is definitely its own energy. Name ideas: Throg, Max Bronan. Absolutely.
What's that crossed out one? Is that Biff?
I think so. Yeah, that looks like Biff to me.
Could also be Bilf.
Blood harvesters, I'd love to fuck, yes.
Yeah, no, I love the fucking like 80s, 90s like punk metal. You've got one of those like black denim jackets that has a shit ton of patches sewn into it. You are trading around cassette tapes that have like a really fucking distorted version of War Pigs on it.
Of course, the priest is one of the classes that you can have. Of course, Hell Priest. Master of Puppets. Possess one enemy per zeal spent.
Master of Puppets, you say. I wonder if that could be a reference to anything.
Yeah. No, these definitely all feel... Oh, I love when I discovered way back in the day that Guilty Gear, most of the special named attacks are specifically songs. I was delighted by like Bridget's like a quarter circle forward kickstart my heart. Was kind of like, yeah. And it's just that all the way down. Yeah, that kind of shit I love. And I can tell that now that this is now highlighted, voice like a horny angel definitely feels like a song name. That
Ride the Lightning right there. Yeah, no, this is Mystic Lilies I also put a shit ton of song references into that one. So yeah, no, this, to be clear, this is something I'm all about. I'm not throwing any shade.
But yeah, no, I love the aesthetic of this thing. All of the annotation, all the ballpoint annotations fucking make it for me.
Yeah, no, it's so fun.
I wish, I kind of hope that there is like a physical version of this that doesn't have the annotations in, so you can doodle your own. That'd be sick.
Oh my god. Being able to pay for a quote-unquote clean version that you doodle in yourself, that's such a fun idea.
Next up, we have Imaginary Friend Fight by Logan Jenkins, who works with Greg Leatherman, Glitter Hearts we saw earlier, on the Very Random Encounter podcast, where they do a wide variety of tabletop RPGs with anything that they can randomize, they do randomize. I was on their show in the past to do a Troika 3-shot.
Oh yeah.
Imaginary Friend Fight is the idea of taking either randomly made characters or like your OCs or characters that are in existing tabletop RPGs and then flinging them through space and time into an interdimensional game show that they then compete against to be the survivor of. So it's designed to be a very fun and silly filler between games, or if you like playing the same characters across RPG campaigns, this is like the kind of game that you can play to continue to keep the energy going with those players.
Do you think this is a game to also play as your blurbo of choice? You know, kind of, because when I see imaginary friend fight, I actually kind of think like, oh, okay, this someone going to be like, oh yeah, I want to put Nagito Komaeda on a fucking crazy ass game show. Oh yeah, just as choose any character you like from TV, comics, previous TTRPG characters, etc. No, I love that. I love games that encourage you to pervert canon, I suppose you can say.
With zero interest in power leveling either. Because it just says you have all of their abilities. So the idea of like, somebody's like, I pick Colombo, and somebody's like, I pick Goku.
I know which of those two I'm more scared of, and it's not Goku.
Truly.
Colombo just appearing directly behind Goku. One more question.
With the backside of it to have a handful of kind of like example challenges or the bits and pieces that you can play. But yeah, I love these kind of like one pages. I think this is probably a reflection of, because we probably have the same kind of like design history. If you've ever played any of Grant Howitt's one-page RPGs, he physically releases those as well as the digital versions. And the physical backside of those one pages usually has all sorts of bonus content on. Either he hacks his own game or gives additional rules or some kind of fascinating tidbits to kind of have on the back to expand what the game can do. So I appreciate that it has all ways to just play the game without having to think too hard on the front. And then if you want additional stuff, all that info is on the back for you. Another glance. Oh, gosh. Speaking of absolute chaos, in Castle, you are kobold with knife, which is one of the wildest pieces of artwork for tabletop RPG I've ever seen. So the designer of this is a pixel artist, and a solid one. And just was like, I'm just gonna go full MS Paint energy for
a game about playing as kobolds. That feels incredibly fitting.
What do I have silly enough for this? This might do it. No, we can do sillier. Cool. Yeah, this is a game where you are rescuing your captured dragon mother, governmental figure, and you are many kobolds simultaneously. The idea being that these kobolds have basically 1 HP, and if they ever come a cropper, they immediately perish, and you just roll a new you roll a new kobold to be. And you just Pikmin the problem, I think would probably be the way to describe it. If you throw enough bodies at the issue will solve itself.
Players, you are now the fodder.
So right down to the kind of name table, the title table. So you, which I love that they are, you know, the bonuses that you have to rolls are very specific. Like cuddly, +10 to hugs. Sloppy, +10 to making a mess. Lazy plus 10 to doing nothing.
Yes. Can you please go back to the names table, because I feel like we gotta tag ourselves. These are some. I saw some great names back there. Oh man.
What is a KAMB value, Valthek? Let me know. But I mean, question is definitely. Oh, Kobolds Ate My Baby. Yes, I have heard of that. Yeah. Considering there's the potential to be a mononym here, Question as a name is pretty great. I like that.
I do enjoy Cake the Kobold. You know that they're not gonna be able to sneak around the enemy base. Yeah, no, I'm into this. This is very fun.
In the process of, because there was a sort of selection process, we had a lot of entries for games to be part of this bundle, and I was kind of like, we're keeping it specifically to 20. And I was kind of talking to people whose opinion I trust on tabletop RPGs, but didn't have a game in the bundle. And everybody was kind of like, this game seems fascinating. I want to play this game. So yeah, this is definitely the most mysterious, I would say, of the games in the list. But its energy, the map to just go save the dragon is so good. we know
plan A, B, C, D.
We know somebody who designs like combat arenas like this in MS Paint, and they're phenomenal. I love all of the combat maps that Joe does.
I am genuinely MS Paint pilled when it comes to maps in RPGs. I thoroughly about it, and this is only reinforcing this, especially just the. I think it's not just like the very kind of like primitive charm of it, but like all of the little interstitial doodles of like yip yap on the side and all. It's very cute and charming.
We have next is Major Magica by Delvin Nelson. This is also another game with some wild energy in terms of visuals. This opening page, I think, tells you everything you need to know about what this game is going to be doing, and I love it for that.
This game looks like it has a suggested pairing in terms of like certain kind of edible, and I'm into it.
No, strong 60s psychedelia energy. Let's go with this. But yeah, you are. It's quite fun that this is. You are attending the Magic College of Cacophony and Kinship. And despite, considering we are the people who we are, it is a magical school without having to be anything to do with that magical school, which is nice. The fact that it's more inspired by Unseen University in like the Discworld novels, I think is a very good choice. Also, the fact that Devon has their own theme song that they composed for the game is great. That is 10 out of 10.
Man, they composed a theme song for this? That's so fun. I love when games come with music. I feel like I've only really seen that with Monster Care Squad, so knowing that this is happening for like smaller games too is very exciting.
I have a handful. City of Mist and Spire have both had official soundtracks.
Really cool.
Hardwired Island has two, in fact. One of which has an ad break that I do ad reads in, which is why I know. But yeah. This is all the fact that when a tabletop RPG has stats that are specifically evocative of the game, a wizard has 4 actions: bloviate, shift, ponder, and evoke. Bloviate has such a specific academia vibe to it Not just obnoxious wizard, but obnoxious academic wizard.
Such an excellent word choice there.
But yeah, it's all about very specifically trying to make custom spells, and the more customized the spell, the more it can go horrendously wrong. So your aim, you shoot big, and then suffer the consequences when you're what's the meme? Do they specifically cast a spell in that Shadow Wizard Money Gang? Like,
oh my god,
they like conjure a nuke. You know, this feels like the kind of game where yes, you can conjure a nuke in this game. There will be consequences if the spell goes wrong. Is very much what this energy is about. The fact that there's dual rules as well, that's great. Love a game that has light PvP.
Mm-hmm. Summon elephant's foot for luck.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I think this is also a game with a very strong vibe. The obnoxiousness of academia is something that a lot of wizard school media doesn't really talk about, because it's usually like high schools, right? Where nobody's thinking about professorship or tenures or grants for anything. But because this is more of a university style setting, I can see how that all layers in to kind of make the experience a lot more interesting. And hey, it comes with a theme song. You owe it to yourself. I will link the theme song in chat so people can please.
Pig Smoke. I've not heard of Pig Smoke. Have you?
Oh yes, Pig Smoke is the game that Etin made before Hardwired Island.
Oh.
He's made a couple prior to, but yeah, it is that Pig Smoke is very, very much specifically the Wizard Academia game, capital W, capital A. Yeah, exactly that. It's a full send up of the kind of Harry Potter energy. Done, I think, written and released before J.K. Rowling went off the deep end, but still kind of avoids that.
What did they know?
Yeah, they get one on the ground floor, clearly. Yeah. This game is so great. I was so glad that this game got submitted as part of the bundle. So a fun fact that Rafi, you probably know, Satoshi Tajiri, like the I guess inventor of Pokemon, discoverer of Pokemon, yes. Had a hobby prior to Pokemon in terms of as a kid. He was kind of really nostalgic about a specific hobby, if you know what it is.
Yeah, bug catching.
Mm-hmm. And that process very specifically informs Pokemon and its nature. And the idea of taking that full circle and then being like, yeah, this is a Pokemon TTRPG essentially, but it's specifically about catching bugs. Is very good. I love that a lot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love the specificity, and it feels like a very rich specificity. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff about beetles out there, and just honing the focus to that, I think that's very smart and fun. I
mean, you know, you've got your base types of Mushi to start with. The fact that wait, is oh no, they don't have a Kuwagata style one. I'm sad. The Metabots, a guy and his buddy robot kind of anime. The main characters of that were two types of beetle, a Hercules and a Kuwagata beetle. And I'm like, oh, it could just be full circle. It could just be everybody anime. The fact that it can be large enough to ride around on is definitely leaning on the kind of like a Pokemon buddy style energy of it, even though it is 1990 and you are 10. Going camping on your giant like rhinoceros beetle is definitely good energy. I love this.
Knowing how strong some of these beetles are, I am just picturing the whole like you piss one of these things off and they are flinging you into low orbit like.
Oh yeah, at larger than human size, you are definitely. Right? In the same way that like when you talk about ants are able to pick up things that are like 10 times their own body weight. And you're like, well, if that was scaled up to ants with human size, that's terrifying.
Right, yeah.
I do love your kid skills, including clambering and teasing and wrestling.
Tolerating, I love tolerating as a skill. That's so good.
Now, when I kind of like read the description for this when it was initially submitted, I was like, this is genuinely everything I wanted in terms of games submitted to this bundle. This is fully and a big list of abilities to give your Mushi for that kind of customizability. Is also, you know, what you want out of a monster training style thing. I mean, you know, as a net battles enthusiast, I am very familiar with the process of being able to get an ideal build with a bunch of different tools I can tinker with.
Man, I'm going to be thinking about bug battlers.
The spin-off, the crossover. Actually, I think it's the people who put together Triangle Agency, because they did a Kickstarter for that game near the end, midway through last year. And as part of the promotional process when the game was rules complete, but not like feature complete, they specifically did collabs with other existing and to-be released games, so they would do crossover content for each other. Yes. And that idea sits in my head rent-free.
Yes. Oh, man. I'm excited for when Net Battlers is in a spot where I can do this, because I love crossover content.
Hey.
And the idea of like, hell yeah, what's this game called? Mushi Melee?
Mm-hmm.
Going like, hey, Mushi Melee devs, I'd love to make a page of Beetle-themed Net Battlers content.
Mm-hmm.
Sick as hell.
Yeah, Richard Kelly, if you want to go and I mean, I can send you the deets of the person, but I genuinely think you should. I genuinely think you should get in touch with Richard and be like, hey, crossover content. I think that would be fucking excellent.
100%.
Moving on to the next in the list, we have Planet Fist.
Oh man, this is one that I haven't read, but I'm really curious about knowing some of the inspirations.
Yeah. No, this is definitely it's really interesting watching this game sort of come together, where I was seeing Jess post tweets about how she was playing Stargrave, which is a miniature agnostic sci-fi war game, and kind of like, oh, the stories I'm building with this is so much fun. I'm enjoying like moving my books and tissue boxes around to go and make terrain for my little lads to run around in, and the stories that's being told, and then that has kind of like grown off the back of Fist Ultra Edition being released as kind of like a rules system for people to adopt, and making two great tastes taste great together by connecting them up is actually really, really cool. But yeah, Planet Fist is very specifically a send-up of the likes of XCOM and PlanetSide 2 and Starship Troopers. It is a bunch of people who are enlisted into the most dangerous, pointless war. It is a capitalism causing war for capitalism's sake, but you live and die by the gun. You're gonna go out there and traumatize yourself and others to probably no good end whatsoever. and just kind of slightly reveling in that tragedy, which is a very Jess style of game if you've played any of her other games. And despite being a war game and using miniatures, it actually uses Powered by the Apocalypse rules, which is an interesting blend of those two ideas. Yeah. Even though, I guess thinking way back, you know, the original Dungeons and Dragons was initially the combat rules were like, look to this historical war game and use its rules for the combat, and it kind of like then, you know, hybridized into its own thing. Interesting that we're now at a stage where there are like RPG rules, and the idea of applying them to a tabletop war game is not something you would initially consider, but super doable, especially when you're kind of, again, there's some solid paragraphs earlier on in this document that kind of talk specifically about the idea of, because this is a narrative war game, there will be instances where the most dramatic decision is not the most tactically sensible decision. That's fine, make that choice. I think that's a very interesting thing to give permission to for war game players.
Yeah, I mean, when death is a temporary condition, you know, there may be other consequences that are greater, but I think fun to give that kind of permission and make an environment where you can go for the real, the big plays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, notes here. You can kind of, you know, be chosen to be revived on the field, but then you can just deface yourself, turn to pixels, and be reconstituted and sent back in again, which I guess if you remember everything from before is oh dear. I don't like the idea of remembering how you were shot and then being like, we'll do it again.
I mean, you got to keep in mind when a human dies, their brain releases so many endorphins to just make it suck a little bit less. So surely, oh man, this is a fucking grim thought. Do you think there are some people who would get like a little addicted to that? Like, oh man, there's no high like when you're like when you're bleeding out. Oh,
hey, I guess it's just taking those like thrill seekers and pushing it that step further, right?
Oh yeah, just can you imagine? Yeah, we got the special operations crew. These guys have some serious problems, some extremely addictive personalities.
They are too into this, and this is why we hired them. But yeah. This is such a polished document. I mean, granted, sci-fi games kind of lend themselves to looking quite clean in how they're put together, but this game looks fucking clean.
Yeah, this is definitely something where I'm like, okay, looking at this and how much it is doing with just black and white, and like it's not very maximalist with its design, but what design it does have looks good. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to step up my game.
I think a thing I've found in hosting this bundle and kind of keeping an eye on all of these is like looking at everyone else's design philosophies and seeing them hit these spaces that I've not even really thought about how I could employ them, you know? There is the working alongside other people, and then as a result, the thing that you make is going to be larger than the sum of its parts. But also even just kind of like, you know, the process of exploring other people's work. And all of these games are about being high energy in their own way. And yet they all look really broadly different from each other, which I think is very, very cool. Speaking, flipping the style on its head again, we have Proto Drive by friend of the show, Sheila Ornthalis, Come and Go Tavern, fellow YouTuber, which is taking the conceit of Lancer and its really elaborate robot customization and applying that to tuning your car and then doing a bunch of initial D shit with it.
That's fun. That's very fun.
Still in its early stages. There's more kind of like content to be released over time. But I did a one-shot of this for fellow VTuber Captain Hurricane's birthday. Captain Hurricane is a VTuber, is the world's fastest racing hedgehog. Yes, even faster than that one. And so it felt appropriate, and they enjoy tabletop RPG stuff, so it's like, yeah, no, we'll go and give Proto Drive a whirl, and the different art. Let me scroll to the archetypes of car so you can see like the car designs, because each of the different kind of like car chassis have like a special ability that you only, at least at base level, have a single point, so you can only use once per like race. And one of the cars is like a drift machine, which specifically has an ability that says you spend this point, you clear this turn no matter what, and is so satisfying to. Oh, we do have the bill. So we've got the kind of like standard the initial D style car, perfectly average, but has the potential that goes through the ceiling. We have the kind of, you know, the Bowser style Mario Kart car. It's big and heavy, but the top speed is good, can't be knocked off the road.
Bold Brumby, oh, what a name. We
have the Odoru, the drift machine, which is the one that I used. Because this is it's specifically designed as a game to be PvP, because you're doing races with each other. And it has the whole kind of like, you're given the race map already when you start, so you know essentially the target number checks for the target, the specific target number checks for the curves, so you have the foresight to be able to increase or decrease your speed to make the rolls easier, but you still have to roll to do the turn. So to make the turns easier, but you still have to roll to do the turn. So there's a little bit of push your luck in there, where you're like, I know that my car has better grip, so I can go maybe faster into this turn. But you can still fully eat shit if you push yourself too far. So it was very, very fun to be behind the pack and then kick in nitrous and use my once per race ability to go round the tightest hairpin turn perfectly and then outstrip everybody else. So satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's the kind of Hollywood shit.
And then, you know, since this game is playable under its current state, but is going to be continuing to kind of get new cars and new customization pieces as time goes. So there will always be new and interesting cars to go and thrash around. This also feels like a game with very good crossover content potential.
Oh yeah.
You know, I want there to be fully just an F-Zero car that I can put in this game, just zero grip, but can have silly boosts and can do like the spinning in place to knock all the other cars out the way as an ability.
Yeah, traction E, and that's a feature.
Yes. Moving on, we have this game takes place entirely in a Mega Mart parking lot. What a name. But
I love a maximalist name. Assumedly this game typically goes by just Mega Mart for short,
yes.
But it's very fun thinking about the anagram of Tug to Time.
You know,
off the tongue.
I died and was reincarnated in another Mega Mart with my smartphone. But yeah, as the name suggests, yes, the running the game segment is very, very specific about the bounds of what this game can and cannot do. This game takes place within a supermarket parking lot. You may not enter, or you may not leave the lot or enter the store. The entire narrative has to be within this space, in the stopped time, in the squared circle, the wrestling arena. You may not leave this parking lot. But,
a space of everything and nothing.
But this is pretty cool about it, the aesthetics it wears on its sleeves. There's a place I've never been, but I would actually would quite like to go one day. The Omega Mart, like, art installation in Vegas, where it's just, you know, a fully surrealist supermarket where all the products are like canned despair and kind of like existential O's or whatever. And apparently, like, you know, there's a walk-in freezer, like walk-in art installation in that kind of shit. Fully turning those liminal spaces, but also making it like those your Earthbound-esque surrealist RPGs, and just condensing it down into just a single location for a tabletop game, I think is such a precise energy. You know, never say that there is nothing you can't do a tabletop RPG about.
Yeah, this really is the, like, Sanctuary Guardian Earthbound song of RPGs.
I do love. A thing that I actually liked about Mystic Lilies is when you're faced with a challenge, you can just fail on purpose for an advantage later. And this definitely has that similar kind of energy of just kind of like you can decide whether you're like, I'm doing this, I'm gonna have a go at this, hedging my bets, and just like, oh, this is never going to happen. We're gonna have the nightmare occur, but it means that there are some advantages I can have later.
Yeah, I saw that with the coupons. That's neat. I do really enjoy mechanics like that in the way that they tend to like help pace the narrative. Also, I love the just $9 bottle of black on the previous page.
Oh yes, fully. Ominous. Special deal. Said in like a Spamton voice, clearly. Oh, I mean, that's one of the things I previously released, Otherverse ! Which is that kind of like a Deltarune Chapter 2 surrealist RPG. This is maybe inside the computer, maybe not. It's definitely a vision of the 90s nobody could quite remember. This Megamart definitely also hits that energy, and I definitely have a soft spot for that. This is a game I want to play at some point. It is definitely on my imminent to play. We have an afternoon going. Why not go and give this a whirl, kind of thing? Especially if we can, like, in like a imaginary friend fight, like link it up with other games going on.
Imaginary friend fight in the Megamart parking lot.
Stacks on stacks on stacks. Why not? I'm a big fan of taking two systems and making them kiss. Ah, well, this is a familiar game.
Underground broadcast, you say? Oh, so this is like an ensemble theater game, right?
Why don't you take this one away? Why don't you let everybody know about Underground Broadcast? Excuse me.
Yeah, Underground Broadcast is a game that is clearly a Jet Set Radio tribute. That is also, you know, trying to be a Jet Set Radio tribute, maybe less in the sense of like, okay, this game is really about skating and movement, and no, this game is about going fuck cops and fuck the, like, systems of oppression that want to kick you down.
I love this. Corporate government. It's very, very good.
Thank you. Yeah, no, this game is very, like, deliberately paced. Basically, any kind of like game setup portion, you set up a bunch of laws that suck ass and govern the society, and as you play the game, you break the laws down, and as you do so, you run into more and more opposition. So this game is... Now I'm curious. At the time, there were very few games tagged ACAB on itch.io. Let me see.
Oh, how many games have tagged ACAB since, huh?
Yeah, there are 30 games tagged ACAB, and okay, I think several of them are mine. This is definitely the most justifiable to tag ACAB. I think some of these, I did not remember that I tagged Radical Spin with and Roosting with Your Hot Chicken Boyfriend as ACAB. That's funny to me, but this game is textually ACAB.
I enjoy that one of my OCs is here on
Yes.
in the sidebar.
Oh man, getting like, hey, pro tip for any indie RPG makers out there who do not who have you want to put art in your book, because that's fun, and also people tend to not buy things if the book is not pretty, but also your art budget is this is the part where I would open up a wallet and a moth would
flies
come
out. Yeah.
Is basically going like, hey, other people, friends of mine, do you want to get a freaking like OC indie style of this work?
Pool together money for the commission. Yeah.
Exactly. So the fact that every character in this game is like an invented OC from my friend is like, oh, that's fun, and I get to look and go like, yeah, those casters with the winged roller skates.
Actually, I can with the pompadour and the visor to earpiece. I've just read, because this was before I designed myself. This was before I existed as a VTuber, so I can see the prototypical design in this prior to
Protocaster, nice.
Yeah, no, I've only run this, I've only run this with you the once. Prototypical Raffi to current design as well, actually.
Yeah, that was very fun. Going like, okay, how do I slip this in without it just being like, also among all of these people, we just got a freaking furry in here. Yeah, no, shout out to on the previous page the ska punk on the sidebar. Love that from Florian. But yeah, it is a quick game to read. It is a quick game to play. It is, I think, something that I find with some small games is that they kind of lack tools to keep things going, and I very much part of my MO with this game is make it play as quick as it reads. So
yeah,
if you go for
I
it.
was gonna say it did a really good job of the way that rhythm tokens work, where lots of tabletop RPGs have to contend with the thought of what happens when you fail. And we're now more in an era where people kind of take failing forward as a standard, but that wasn't always the case. So having a mechanical thing where if you fail, there's still something that you get that is then used in teamwork roles and pushing the story forward as things continue, I think is really elegant. Where it's not just the narrative proceeds, but there's also mechanical proceeds to failing. Because some games do stuff like you gain EXP when you fail a roll, which that makes sense. You're gaining experience from your failures, but I do like this is a tool that you still have to actively use. This is still maybe you're even thinking about when you're making a decision, you'd go like, oh, this is risky and I might fail. And I'm going to factor that into what the plan is. We might get more rhythm tokens so that we can use for doing something in the future. It's surprisingly like a letting people, if you want to go balls to the wall and just skate real fast, you can. If you want to take a more measured approach and use every drip, every crumb of the mechanics to do something, that's also there. I dig that.
Every piece of the buffalo.
Last three now. We ran over time a little bit. I apologize for those who are waiting for Pokemon action, but I do want to give all of these games their time in the spotlight. We have Vampire Cowboys by Maddie Searle. Maddie is actually somebody I know from the audio drama sphere. There is in the kind of like UK audio drama space, there is a definite Venn diagram with people who do that and people who do like tabletop RPGs and actual play. And Maddie has a non-binary U-Haul cowboy energy. So
oh yeah,
putting that into the game direct, I think is great. It's just, you know, a light and high energy one pager in a similar fashion to Friend Fight. I guess this kind of hits a bit of funny that it hits a bit of Lasers and Feelings and hits a bit of Grant Howitt's like a RPG design, because hey, my first tabletop RPG also hit that energy of you have two stats. In this case, Vampire and Cowboy. In my case, with Agents of Hue, Fierce and Fabulous. I love that you have two stats, both as a joke and for real in games.
100%.
Definitely hits the yes, the two genders kind of joke.
Let's see.
I can let me make it a little larger. Apologies. Were you much of a cowboy like genre fan? Friend of the show Ruben, big fan of cowboys.
You know, I think it really depends. Like I would say I like spaghetti westerns. I don't really like American westerns too much, because like I think I don't need to, you know, it is not news to anyone here that the country of America has a complicated history with colonization of its west and the way that the cinema depicts that. So I really like how spaghetti westerns tend to make things a lot more morally gray and, you know, bring in more drama rather than just, you know, oh, white guy, please save us. But also, I fucking love cowboy aesthetics. I went thrifting a couple months ago, or not thrifting, I went to a vintage clothing store and found this like cowboy ass shirt from the like 80s or something, and I genuinely would love to get some cowboy boots, and I am extremely considering getting a bolo tie. Like I want a bolo tie with like an owl something. Oh hell yeah. This bolo tie is definitely partially seeing that in Disco Elysium going, oh yeah, that's right.
I'm into this. No, I love in again mirroring imaginary Friend Fight with this. If you're using your vampire skills, you can use any vampiric power from folklore as you like, as long as you roll for it and get at least one success. I will absolutely Alucard turn into a wolf, baby. I will absolutely use my vampiric power of backdashing to...
yes, like Super Mario.
Moving on for another vampiric game, Vampire with a Y, Awakening. This new era of like gatefold style games where it's just an entire thing printed on an A4 and it's just folded up like that is like so elegant. I'm into that.
Yeah, no, trifold games genuinely very cool, and I'm like, ooh man, I gotta look into making trifold games, because it's a fun form and feels like it'd be good to print.
It has an interesting straddling between, it needs to have enough bits and pieces going on in it to justify the 5 to 6 columns that the game is, but it also can't be so dense that it would be silly to put on a single gatefold. Cyber plus Punk does an interesting job where like it's a stack of pamphlet folds. One of them is the rules, one of them is like, some of them are character sheets, and then some of them are like scenarios, and then they're all kind of put into like one box set, which is an interesting way of using the gatefold, the trifold to do multiple bits of information that wouldn't fit on a single piece of A4. I was talking over you, sorry, what were you about to say?
Oh no, completely so irrelevant. I'm just looking at the header font for this. I'm like, oh my god, I know this font. I used to use
Chiller.
this font to make. Okay, it is Chiller. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, yeah, I use that font to make forum signatures back in middle school. So I'm so glad it's still
leaning
getting used
all the way in.
Oh yeah.
I would love to see somebody use Jokerman with modern design sensibilities. Like, try to find any way to make that motherfucker work, because I loved Jokerman when I was like 8.
It is an incredible font for 8-year-olds.
It just felt like the height of modernity,
Truly postmodernism, the font.
But yeah, they're kind of like D6 roll tables. It's funny, back in the day, I didn't really like the idea of roll tables very much in my tabletop RPGs.
Oh yeah, really?
There was something about it that just... writing them was something I wouldn't do. Especially in like scenario writing and things like that, to randomize it. I'm like, you can just decide what the thing is. You don't need to leave it up to chance. But there's been, I think I had to use it in a couple of commissions previously, and then through the process of playing Morkborg, which is just so heavily leaned into just go roll some die, just let all of this, let Jesus take the wheel. And then playing a couple games that way, and it's like, yes, this I understand why this style of chaos is an absolute riot and why people love this kind of thing. So yeah, roll tables in this kind of space make all the sense. Especially when like one of them is just so out of pocket compared to all of the rest.
Yes,
that's great. I love that.
I thoroughly agree. Thinking back to that Cobalt game we looked at, where it's just like, yeah, if you hit the end of the roll table, your name is Cobalt, your ability is plus 10% ability to Cobalt. Very good.
And last but by no means least, we have Vibe Check, which is also one of the games that when they, alongside Mushi Melee, when Ostrich Monkey submitted this, I was like, oh yeah, I was hoping you'd be interested in this. Yes, good. Vibe Check is essentially The World Ends With You categorized into a tabletop RPG. Using the Lumen system in quite an interesting way, because in The World Ends With You, because it's a game about street culture and street fashion, your gear is just clothes you buy from stores. And then stuff like brand loyalty actually has mechanical effects, both in terms of what your kit does and how the world responds to you. And having that kind of reworked into a tabletop format, I think is really interesting, because a lot of the Lumen games that we've seen so far, there's the high-paced, fast-paced, like gunplay stuff. But Lumen is also about the items that enemies drop and them belonging to different brands. There was one I played recently called Gunfucks, which is designed to be like Borderlands. And so it has a whole bunch of faux Borderland gun brands in it. And likewise, this game has a whole bunch of different brands with a whole bunch of things that you can collect and build your character out that way. But yeah, this game is so visually intense in terms of its layout.
I was just thinking, like, this game is pretty. I really enjoy the good colors. Love the like little banner across the top with the title in it. Okay, the fact that across the top is like you have the section title in most legible font. Then you have the big graffiti, and then you have it repeated a little. I'm like, oh, this is so extra. I love it. Also, look at these freaking. I shouldn't say the world ends with you OCs, but I mean,
it's in the
They're
art
great.
style of the game. They are fully fully OCs, but yeah, no, they are very good. I love this game was released, I want to say early 2022, and it's interesting that this kind of hits the stylistic conceits of The World Ends With You, a game that was released in, I think, 2007. But with the fashions that I could see people wearing now, that kind of gap in time. So the punk lady wearing a top with the logo of the brand in large is very like Supreme.
Yeah.
The person with the headphones wearing like the sliders with the thick white socks is very, very current. The white Chelsea boots, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, ooh, they know the fashion. I think is there are so many games that are set, so many both tabletop and video games that are set in a contemporary street space, and you look at the character designs and you're like, oh, your understanding of fashion started and stopped in the 90s. Nobody wears crop tops like that anymore. You can't keep drawing Mary Jane from Spider-Man this way.
Oh my god.
So I do appreciate that this is a game about fashion, and then also knows it backs itself up. is a thing I definitely appreciate. I think this is really, really cool.
It's done the homework. Now that's great.
When I first encountered this game, actually, I was like, oh man, this feels a bit dense. I don't know if I'll be able to get into it super easy. Mostly just because of the maximalist style of it. But I've since having played a Lumen game and get how it works, I'm like, oh, like this is visually maximalist, but when it comes down to it, it plays real fucking smooth. The way that it operates on the 3 stats, the dice resolution for the kind of like failure, mixed and full successes weighted towards you succeeding more than not, is just a way where you can just kind of like go for it. Yeah, definitely on my to play list. I need to kind of find people who want to be down to play this. You actually like The World Ends With You play a proper Reapers game. For those who aren't aware, The World Ends With You is essentially kids who've been put into like a battle royale in the streets of Shibuya, where if they win, they get the right to come back to life again. So it's a lot of being teens, but also kind of like, if we fail here, I stop existing. I don't know how I feel about that. That would require more than a one shot, I think, to kind of explore in full. So even though this game goes quite quick, there's some meat on the bones here. There's definitely a full campaign's worth of content to explore. Oh yeah, with all the brands as well. Nice. And that is our list. That is all 20 games. Let me.
Man, what a cool ass bundle.
I mean, it has so many fascinating things for people to go and try and play, and it is available, I say, as a reminder for both those in chat and those who are watching in the future. I'll be mirroring this to YouTube quite swiftly. The bundle is around until January 31st, or until the end of January 31st. So time is limited. At time of recording, we are swiftly approaching the final week of it. So if you want to get hold of these 20 games for $20, now is your chance. And you're not just supporting me, you are supporting a group of really broad, as you have seen, designers with a bunch of different perspectives, but all have been putting their all into some really, really interesting game designs that I know you will enjoy. So please do check it out. Any final thoughts on your end before we Pokemon it up?
I am so grateful to everyone that has supported the bundle so far. It's gotten some really good support, and I'm really hoping people keep showing up. Like, this is the support people give to bundles like this is the kind of thing that can really like meaningfully change someone's situation. This is not one of those bundles where it's like, oh, if we're getting like a third
pennies,
of a penny per purchase. This is like meaningful money going into the pockets of small time creators. So if you watched this and saw like, oh, there's some cool stuff in there, then I think this is
now's your chance.
This is not just a fun thing to support, but this is a very this is pro-social behavior.
This is eusocial behavior. We've all become bees.
And that's the buzz, folks.
Marvelous. Right, we're
Call
gonna
that our stinger.
on that very good closing pun. We're gonna go on a 10-minute break while we go and get ourselves comfortable and switch the tech over to concluding our time with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, where we get to experience the epilogue. So sit tight, everybody. Go stretch, go rehydrate, and I will see you all in 10. Be right back.